Welcome back, geographers, to our lecture on coastal processes. I'm excited to explore this dynamic environment where three of Earth's major systems intersect. So let's get started with our slides. All right. Okay, excellent. So coastlines represent the fascinating interface where the hydrosphere, lithosphere, and atmosphere all meet and interact. This meeting point creates one of Earth's most energetic environments, and one that we, especially myself, enjoys quite a bit. It's an area of ceaseless movement and constant energy transfer. So think about the last time you visited a beach. Remember the waves crashing, the wind blowing, the sand shifting beneath your feet? That's the visible evidence of these powerful systems at work. The Oregon coast or California's Big Sur are perfect examples of these dynamic interactions where towering cliffs face powerful ocean waves in a constant battle of forces. So let me go ahead here. Okay. All right. So while we often associate wind with shaping desert landscapes, it's actually more influential along the coastlines. Why? Because wind can deform a body of water, which then affects the surrounding landforms. Wind is, in fact, the most influential force causing water to move. Consider how offshore winds create a perfect surfing condition in Hawaii, or how seasonal monsoon winds alter the coastlines through Southeast Asia. So, beyond wind, several other forces shape our coastlines. The daily tidal fluctuations create rhythmic patterns of erosion and deposition. The Bay of Fundy in Canada, with its 50-foot tidal range, dramatically showcases this effect. Diastrophic events like earthquakes can instantaneously transform coastlines. The 2011 Tohoku earthquake in Japan caused parts of the coastline to sink by over 2 feet. Long-term changes in sea or lake levels occur due to tectonic forces lifting or lowering coastal regions, as well as eustatic forces. So let me clarify what an eustatic forces are. These produce sea level changes by increasing or decreasing the actual amount of water in the world's oceans. The melting of the glaciers during our current period of climate change is a prime example of eustatic sea level rise. Continental ice sheets also influence coastal topography but to a lesser extent than these other forces. So while lake shores and sea coasts share many similarities in their topographic forms, three important exceptions exist. First, lakes have a negligible tidal change, so they lack the distinctive tidal landforms that we see along oceans. Second, lake levels fluctuate for different reasons than oceans. The Great Lakes water levels, for instance, change primarily due to precipitation patterns and human regulation, not global oceanic processes. Third are coral reefs. And we will talk about these. Those amazing biological structures that create entire island chains simply don't occur in lakes. Finally, it's worth noting that size matters. The larger the water body, the greater effects of coastal processes. This is why sea coast features are typically larger and more conspicuous and more distinctive than those on lake shores. Compare the modest beaches of Lake Michigan to the dramatic coastal formations along Australia's Great Ocean Road. And you'll see this principle clearly demonstrated. So next time you visit the coastline or beach, I encourage you to observe these processes in action and appreciate how these three great Earth systems, air, water, and land, continually reshape our land's edge. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next section.